Hello, everyone, and welcome to Asian Viewpoints with Mary Sit. Well, if you own a house or if you're thinking about buying a house, you may be wondering what the housing market is going to be like in 2025. Will mortgage interest rates continue to inch down slowly? Will house prices go up? And what about the number of houses on the market? Will there be more houses to choose from? We're here to dust off her crystal ball is Afruz Price. She is a realtor who works with the Franklin team, who won Houston's Best Prism Awards 2023, making it the top transition team in Texas and the third globally. She holds a bachelor's degree in art photography. She's a former journalist. She's also an entrepreneur who's owned successful businesses with both the beauty and home fragrance industries. And she's bilingual in Farsi. So thank you so much for being with us.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
So let's talk about the housing market right now. How would you characterize it?
Well, it's a very good question. So the housing market right now, currently, we have low inventory and high demand.
Okay.
So that's causing the competition, and honestly, that lead to the prices going higher.
So it's
So
really a seller's market right now, right?
yeah, it is. So I have some clients that we are working like few months and we cannot find the right house for them. There is no inventory. Like there is very little inventory that's causing the kind of like a panic in the buyer side.
So my neighbor, was just sold his house, and I was walking by asking him, and he was so happy. He said, "We sold it in 5 days." Apparently, he got a contract in five. I said, "Well, were you happy with the price?" He goes, "Oh yeah."
Oh, yeah,
So
yeah.
he was great, but for first-time home buyers, it's a little difficult, right?
It is because they kind of a little bit picky. They
Yeah.
really wants to find a perfect house and make it more challenging for them.
Okay. So is now a good time to buy a house nationwide and in Houston, even though it's still a seller's market? I mean, if you need a house, it's housing, right? I mean, what do you say to that?
So if someone asks me this question, it's always a good time to buy a house. Always. So when I look
It's
at
always a good time to buy a house.
it's
Now, are you
always a good
saying that because you're
time.
a realtor?
So no, no, let me tell you, I look at
Okay.
the data last 40 years,
Okay.
always there was an increase between 5 to 15% every year on the price
Okay.
of the house. So if
It's a
you,
good investment then, right?
it is. At the end of the year, you have equity in your house.
So what's the median of median price of a house nationwide and then in Houston?
So nationwide, when I was checking it actually a few months ago, it was around 350 to $400,000.
Uh-huh.
In Houston, the median price is kind of like a median. It's about $300,000.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you're a seller, what are things sellers can do to sell their house quickly? Because you work with sellers, right? What are some
Yes.
tips you give them? What are the three important things they need to know or do?
Definitely first hire a very educated realtor to help
Okay.
them step by step. And then the curb appeal, the small touches in the house, it's gonna be a huge difference. When the buyer walk in, they just gonna notice that. And make sure to just talk about the price of their house and ask for opinion of the realtor. So that's gonna give them an opportunity to sell their house in a better term and higher price. When I actually have a listing appointment, I always go with the data. What
Mhm.
houses, I mean, we have an analysis. We analyze that neighborhood and the houses with very similar situation, how much they sold last 6 months. And
Okay.
we come with a very realistic number. So we know if we go with that number, we're gonna sell that house fast and easy. But if they come up with a different number in their mind, I know selling the house is very emotional.
Mhm.
There's a lot of connection with that house. And we never want to that happen. So if it comes with if they want to ask for a price that is not right for that neighborhood or the house
Mhm.
is gonna stay in the market for a while and it's gonna be challenging for that house to.
Oh yeah, because buyers go, wow, that's been on the house on the market for 2 or 3 months. What's wrong with it? There may be
That's
nothing wrong with it except the price, but that's the perception, right?
that's
So what are some easy, quick things people can do so that when potential buyers walk in, it's that wow factor? I mean, should they repaint the whole house? Should they stage it? What should they do?
definitely a
sellers.
staging. It's gonna be amazing. I mean, like it's gonna be a huge impact on the vision of the buyer because when they walk in, I was like, okay, I feel like a house. I feel like a home. So
But how could you stage it when you still have to live there?
So it's very important to just keep the house very clean and organized. That's gonna actually help the buyer to feel like, okay, I can live here. I can see my house and myself be here, living here.
And is it worth painting the whole house in a neutral
It
color?
really depends. So if the house is very dark and old, like old paint, absolutely, it's gonna have a huge impact. But if it's clean, sometimes it's just a very little touch up that can help.
Okay. And what about curb appeal?
Oh, absolutely. That's one of the biggest things.
So plant some
okay,
flowers, do some landscaping, right?
exactly.
Okay. Now, if you're a first-time home buyer, what do you need to do to get that house that you love?
So first, you need to remember that's not gonna be for your forever house.
Okay.
Just don't be picky.
Uh-huh.
So
And first-time buyers are like that, aren't they? It's like, oh, my first house, this is going to be it. And it's really not. They live in it for maybe 5 years statistically, right?
exactly. Yes, but as long as the house is reasonable and it's decent, they really need to just get it.
Tell me about how the compensation for real estate agents has changed. There's a new law out. It's sort of confusing. I mean, here in Texas, it's always been sort of standard where it's 6% and it comes out of the sellers, what the seller gets, and then they split it with the other agent, the buyer's agent. And so each one gets 3 and 3, but it's all different now. Tell me about that.
So to be honest with you, nothing really changed. It was always negotiable. So seller willing to pay that amount to the buyer agent to just sell their house because they know that the buyer agent, they do the negotiation, they bring the client, they're selling their house, and the buyer at the end of the day bring the money to the table. So they change the word, they change the basically they're representing differently. So they're telling, hey, you need to make sure it's negotiable. If the seller doesn't want to pay, the buyer needs to pay. And that was always the case, always. But now they just want to make sure that all the realtors basically they are communicating with their clients.
What distinguishes you from all the other agents out there?
So the most important is that I'm focusing with my clients to educate them step by step and make sure everything is clear.
Okay. So education meaning making sure you educate your clients and inform them of all the different aspects of home buying and home selling?
Exactly. Yes.
Okay. And what's the number one mistake that buyers and sellers make?
Well, I can tell that they basically really rely on news and they try to find out their stuff themselves and they Googling stuff that they can get a lot of misinformation. And when they talk to me, I was like, oh, we heard that. I was like, oh, no. Let me show you how does that work. And when they come with that mindset, it really makes their life challenging. It was like, oh my gosh, okay, now they have to completely change their mindset because the information they got, it wasn't the correct information.
Well, thank you so much. And I wish you the best of luck and may you win many more awards in the future.
Oh, thank you so much.
If you enjoyed this interview, please click the like button below and be sure to subscribe to this channel so you'll never miss a show. I'm Mary Sitt. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again in the next video.